a simple example for that. But the game should instantaneously respond to your inputs. And actually, like for example, like in our engine, like we kind of have mechanisms where it will even show a color, a color difference on the screen where you can test for your input to see how quickly the input is getting processed by the client. It's not by the server, just by the client, to pack the data and send. So that can be a lag. So sometimes, depending on what kind of hardware you use, or if you build your own hardware, like the input lag can be a tricky thing. The second lag is the client frame rate drop, right? So the client, like you do something really intensive on the client, which means the client spent a lot more time processing the other visual information that it took time for it to go to the network layer and actually process your data to send. And so as much as you think like, oh, it could, lag is always by the network, it need not be by the network. It can be by the client, which drops its frame rate, and then that in turn could, like lag is generally visual, like you see that visual lag, and that can be the cause of lag. The other lag is that you are just processing too much data on the server, that the server takes its time to send stuff. And all of this can still happen even if you are on a LAN connection, right? Even if there is no packet loss, you are in the most ideal network conditions, you will still bump into this. And that means it still lag, the game sucks because it lags, but it could be due to any other factors. So one of the common things, again, like with Black Ops 1 napalm strike, was that the napalm strike was just too intensive on the network. And what that would do is that it used to bring down the client frame rate because it was trying to spawn all these particles for the flame effects, and that in turn can cause the lag. But generally, other than these, the game-related lag, the way you can get away from, like, not away, you can reduce the effect of the internet lag is by having dedicated servers. And I think that's what we do in the lab, right? So at that time, you can think that you have all the bandwidth in the world, but you still are restricted by the client and the client's connection. And at this point, I have some really interesting videos of some interesting challenges which you can face. Can you click the first link? Yeah. So this is a hacked game. So this is the first kind of challenge which you can see, where someone probably hacked the exe, or they hack the exe in a way where they can send commands to the server to get them some weapon, get them some ability, And the server is kind of agnostic. It says, okay, I got this command, let me give you this perk or this thing, right? So you can see how quickly he can move. The round is already reduced to 30 seconds, even though it's a 3-minute game, and he never dies. He exploded a C4, never died, right? A very interesting game, and he has his own logo here. I've actually watched, and people start rage quitting, right? They bump into a hack game and say, oh no, I'm not going to play this, let me quit. See, the game just ends. And this was kind of common, and the thing is, we have a lot of interesting security things that we implemented, and of course, handling theater, like I could handle the same thing, right? Is that, see, like he never died, he could kill people, do whatever they want, and some people connect, and then they'll again get disconnected because they didn't want to play this game. So see what all happens. He went up. So how do you handle this? There are different ways to handle these things. Sometimes, like before in the COD 4 engine, we used to have a lot of commands which were all plain text. So what that would mean is that I can use packet sniffer, like Wireshark, right? And then I can list, oh, this is the command which is sent when I want a new weapon. Good for me. I can make the system fake a packet, send it to the server saying, give me this weapon. And I'm done, because the server still thinks I'm genuine, right? And it just happens. Can we close this and open the next link, please? So this is the regular hacking. The next thing is very interesting, which we caught through theater. It's called lag switching. So someone has this switch where if they are the server and they are running around, they find someone, they'll press the switch. That means there is no packets which is sent to the client. That means the client position is the same, and then the server can shoot it. Oh, there's a very interesting ad here. I don't like this ad. Oh, that's good. I still don't like that. So you can see this, right? So this guy is running around. Thumbs up for justice, right? See? The client is almost stationary at that point. So what he does is he finds a player and then he knows that he's a server, right? So he just presses the lag switch, kills him. And since it's server authoritative, right? The server decides who dies. That means, see? He can do whatever he wants. And that's a very interesting thing, because as much as you would be interested to know who is the host, you need to make sure that no client, no client is actually important. Like every client is important, equally important, right? You can't say, oh, let's do this for the server first before the client. And at the same time, so one of the things that we did was that the server always loads quickly compared to the client. And what we did was that we voluntarily made sure that the server doesn't tell on the load screen till all the clients are connected, you know, or at least a few clients are connected so that you don't know that you are the host. Sometimes host the general notion, which is again like in the olden days, was that host was always number 0. That means in any list, they'll be in the top of the list. So that means if I know that I'm the host and I have a lag switch, I can always press the lag switch and do whatever I want. So you can see all the things which he can do, and he can still not shoot properly. The only thing he does is he presses the lag switch and kills. And the power of YouTube, you know, the power of YouTube is that we see all these things and we immediately ban those people. So they can never play the game. So we have a lot of like strict, and these days we can, like, through some of our mechanisms, through theater and stuff, we can actually determine if a person is actually using a lag switch. So you can determine if the server, what's the amount of time before which the server actually sends. And you can monitor like the rate at which it generally sends, and then when that particular period happens. So if it happens too often and there's a kill associated with it and stuff, you can always model these behaviors with all the data. Alright, so we'll close this and the next video please. That's the last video. Don't like it? This is the other interesting thing. Someone has a modded controller. So they take a controller, they modify it in such a way that it sends the signal of sending. This is a one-shot weapon. They send the signal multiple times because of the modding of the controller. And that means it's firing an input packet like so quickly, you know. So sometimes like we had to do other things on the game side to combat these things, right? Because that's not good. How can someone fire a one-shot weapon, which is FAL, here, and how can they fire multiple times with this? You know. And the irony is that all these things are like replay files, so they don't have to use a capture card. They use the replay and then they upload it to YouTube. But yeah, so these are like the 3 simple ones. There are many more crazy ways people can hack. People actually hack in all sorts of ways. Some people hack for just fun, and then they know that they'll get banned, so they won't use it, but they'll publish it online. And then some retards will like download it and then install it and then get banned. You know? Like the funny thing is like because of our security, the way we do security, like a lot of people knew that a lot of people started getting banned and stuff, and then they start posting their new hack executable, but then they say, please do not use this. And it's as effective as how they have it in cigarette packets, right? Oh, do not smoke, and they still have the cigarette packet, right? It's just like that. And there are kids who will download. I've actually been on hiking trails where I've met kids. Both the kids who had two different Xboxes, and both of them got banned because of hacking and cheat hacking and stuff. So back to the slideshow and the next slide. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
I just Googled it, and it said World of Warcraft using TCP. So I'm asked, there's some reasons they're using TCP.
So the thing is, like that's the other thing, right? Like World of Warcraft can use TCP because it's not instantaneous. You are not expecting something to happen within 10 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, right? It doesn't, you don't feel that difference in the effect of the game. And a lot of these times, the good thing about games like World of Warcraft is that they are PC only, right? Which means they can store a lot more things offline also. Like they can do a lot more prediction and stuff like that. But yes, that's why I told, like MMOs and RTSs, they still use TCP. But then since it's you don't see the thing instantaneously drop. Like you don't find a player running around with like 1,000 damage to just hit one guy and he's dead. If you had any kind of instances like that, you would be able to determine whether it's how quickly you can send the change, right? And that's the reason why you don't get that ability to like just destroy people like instantaneously. There is no one hit kills, you know.
So when you use UDP, you're not using connections and it's not reliable all the time, right? So then how do you ensure that everyone gets the particular packet? Say I shoot a bullet and say I'm playing with 5 people, and how do I ensure that, okay, all of them should get that packet, and suppose one guy doesn't get it, then what happens?
So the thing is, when you use UDP, you don't use peer-to-peer. You still use client-server. So that would mean the message of the bullet fire event is sent only to the server, right? And the server handles sending it to everyone else. And what that would mean is, and that is one big reason why, for example, if you play Call of Duty and you get a kill cam, right? You would think that, oh, I saw this guy and I was firing at him. I just got a hit marker, you know, but he killed me. And then if you look at the kill cam, it will show what the server thought. It won't show what you did, right? So what the server thought was that the player was not even there. And all those kind of discrepancies happen because of the server. And like even a bullet fire event, for example, like that's the reason why like they are all events. Like any of the bullet, because they can get lost. And even if they get lost, it was okay. Because they will be like a circular buffer which will handle all these events. So, but then the main important thing is the server registering that and then applying it to damage someone. So that's the reason why sometimes you won't even feel like someone fired, but you died. You know, and then the kill cam will show like he fired. So there is a chance of you missing it. But then again, like because it's delta compressed and you are handling the reliability, you can send the events again, because say a packet got lost, right? So that if the packet of the bullet fire event itself got lost while going to the server, then sorry, you're in battle, right? But then if it went to the server, that means the server is going to send it to the other client. And at that point, the server will still delta the snapshot from what it was last acknowledged. So you will never lose that event because it will always delta with what was last acknowledged. So that should help in general. But yes, sometimes those events can get lost.
So you're saying that each of the clients will acknowledge the packet?
Yes.
also?
So what will happen is that every time you send an input, right, that input packet will have the last acknowledged packet by the client. So that kind of gives that kind of a heartbeat. Like the server is aware of what are the packets that the client received. And then sometimes what will happen is that you got a new packet and you would have processed it. If you got an older packet, it will just discard it. It won't even apply. So that's how it handles it.
I have a question, like, for players like exploiting something in the game, how do you guys approach like people like using external things to break the game as opposed to things that are actually bugs in the game?
I actually didn't.
So like when you're trying to like handle people exploiting the game online,
Yes.
how do you approach like people using external tools to exploit the game versus the actual broken mechanics of the game?
So,
Bugs.
if it's broken, we have to fix it, right? You have no other option. That's the reason why, like especially like as your games get more and more popular, you will find more and more exploiters, right? And like some of the exploits which they do could be very simple. Some of the things could be like hacked EXEs. So we kind of do like checksum checks, you know, we can do a bunch of different things. But then if it's an exploitation of a game mechanism, you have to either write the system in a different way, or you can like let me give you a very simple example. This is something which I bumped into this clip yesterday. So imagine there was someone who hacked their stats in a way where they never unlocked create a class, right? So you have 5 custom slots which are not selectable, and then you have 5 slots which you can select, like SNG, LNG, whatever, right? And then the server can say, oh, what is the class he selected? Like when he says, I've chosen custom class 3, right? It can check with his stats to see if he has unlocked create a class. If he has not unlocked create a class, and it's a ranked game, it will automatically kick him out. That means he can never play selecting that class.